You got to excuse the bugs. We just pulled the equipment out of the basement, so we're still getting out the cobwebs.
Fancy. Hello, everyone. My name is Nick. I've known Mike and Joe for about 20 years. This is my first speech I've ever given, so hopefully things turn out well. I met Mike back in 2002 at work. I was his helper. He always joked about how I wasted $20,000 on college and that I should have paid him $10,000, and the other $10,000 we could have threw a hell of a few parties. So here we are 20 years later. Mike, wish you were here. We spent a lot of long days together at work. Well, I did. He was always a little late.
Yeah, Mike.
We'd work together all day. Then he'd ask me to help him do side work. We ended up working well past dark on many days. And then on the weekends, he'd invite me down to his cottage. We'd do a little bit more work there. That's where I met Evelyn and Joe for the first time. They welcomed me into their cottage and into their lives. We spent the last 18 years together on the 4th of July shooting off fireworks. Also, that was an IndyCar race that we always used to spend a lot of time with together. Mike and I got addicted to shooting off fireworks, and I think Joe got just addicted to taking pictures of all the fireworks that we'd shot off. Mike, Joe, and Evelyn have watched me grow up over all these years, welcoming my family and kids into their lives too. At the same time, I've gotten to watch Brooke grow up and her family too. 20 years ago, I would have never imagined Mike, this guy I worked with, becoming a best friend and his family becoming what feels like family to me. My wife and kids have always gotten to hear constant stories of our adventures together, whether it's talking about racing, project we've started, things we've done down here in the woods on Jim's land, pointing out different construction sites all over town that Mike and I have built together. No matter where we were or what we were doing, we always had fun, whether it was working, hanging out to race, going to the Glen, or spending hours and hours of sitting around at the cottage picnic table doing absolutely nothing. I lost my thought there. Everyone loved Joe, even strangers. He was always friendly with everyone, enjoyed meeting new people. And I got a great story about that, so apologize for the language. Me, Mike, and Paul, and Joe were all at Watkins Glen together one day. And there's a spot we always like to watch the race, and we pull up next to this spot, and there's a guy sitting there. And we pull up right to the spot. You know, Joe wasn't afraid of anything, just pulled into the spot. This guy came out and started screaming at us, used a couple of choice words, said, "Hey, you guys can't park here. If you want to park here, you owe me some money." So Joe's like, "No problem, we'll move the truck, sorry." We hang out, and next thing you know, Joe's over there talking to him, and looks like they become best friends. Within 20 minutes, we got the truck pulled out. The guy's giving us beer, he's feeding us, having a great time. Says, "You guys come back tomorrow." Well, we came back tomorrow, and 4 years later, we were always still hanging out at that spot with this guy. Joe also met with a guy in the off season. I think they went out to dinner a couple times together. They became great friends, and it started out with, "Hey, don't park here." The Whites are more than my friends. They are a family to me. I miss Mike and Joe every day. I will continue to keep their memory alive through sharing stories, visiting the places we love, watching the races from Joe's favorite spots. Most importantly, always staying connected with Evelyn and Brooke, as Mike and Joe would say. Nick Happen. Thank you.
This one? This one?
No, that one isn't on. Sorry.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Wow. Nor was the sound man.
Yeah. So thanks all for coming to celebrate both Joe and Michael's life. I'm Joe's sister-in-law and Michael's aunt, one of Evie's sisters. So here we are. Time has passed and we remember Joe and Michael. I remember Joe as having a real love for life and how he helped to shape mine in so many ways. Anyone who really knew Joe knows he had a big heart and that he was genuine. He loved life. He loved to do things, loved learning, loved people, music, nature, and cars. He had numerous businesses. I remember Deadeye Construction and JRW Imports before settling on being an independent roofer and then a siding technician. He was a meticulous craftsman. His gift of gab and enthusiasm about various things came with all of his love for life. He made friends easily. He shared what he loved, whether it was music, beer, cars, or being someplace or doing something. And he taught me to love life in choosing my career. Had it not been for Joe, I might be a secretary today. But I'm an artist, and he took me aside and he had the talk that started with, well, you know, Nancy. So he said I would experience my work a third of my life, quite possibly more, and because of that, I should love what I do. And he lived that. So there was no talk about how well I would live financially, but with my stick-to-itism and his advice, I chose life as an artist with no regrets, and I'm very thankful for Joe's advice. It's no secret that Joe loved to party, and share he did. For my 16th birthday, I decided I wanted to have a royal pie fight, sort of like the Three Stooges had. Joe and Evie agreed to provide the host location at their country home on Benson Road in Victor, with a pond nearby. Everyone came with real pies, none of this whipped cream stuff. I don't even think Michael was a year old then. I had lousy aim, and I kept targeting Joe, and I kept missing. I used probably 4 or 5 pies on him. Finally, he stood still in front of Evie's very cool Saab Sonnet with the windows open, and for me to take certain aim. I missed. My blueberry pie went straight through the window and into the front seat of the Saab, which still bears blueberry stains in it. And he never said anything to me about it. We had fun. He stood as a target for me so I could have a moment of fun. That was Joe, willing to take the hit for someone else. He did that in many other ways in life, sacrificing his own comfort and joy so others could have joy or just be themselves. He was a very sensitive guy with a big heart. He could forgive. He was fair and open to seeing other people's point of view. He would listen, although I'm sure you know that he was always sure to be sure that his point of view was taken, was heard at least. He let people be who they are, a trait that I admire, and that he was always there to help. Maybe not right away, but he was always there to help, and he made you feel special. When I was younger, Joe shared his excitement about good stereo equipment, music, and concerts. I still have my Philips turntable and KLH speakers that he suggested. I enjoyed it so much, but I had a better ear then. He was kind and he was generous, and he always encouraged people. He often made recordings of music for his friends. He liked playing the guitar and other string instruments, and I had the pleasure to hear him play a song that he wrote for Evie, and I don't know if it came through on the videos, but it might be there so that you can see it. Evie says it is on there, so look for that. A while ago I realized that I had moved away from music and I was feeling kind of like an old fuddy-dud and I missed it. And he was so helpful to turn me on to Tidal, and he said, artists get paid more. I said, I like that. So then he continued to send me music. He coached me with music and cars until I had to get a van. When it was between a Saab or a Volvo before the van, he said, you have to get a Saab because it's sportier and a Volvo's more like a family car. Anyways, Joe loved and respected Evie too, and he would do most anything for her. Michael and his family, Brooke and then her family, were everything to him. They brought him so much joy. You could see by all of the pictures and all of the time that he spent with them. Through thick and thin, he was always there for his family. We're all blessed to have had some of that time together with him. After Michael passed, I think it was literally heartbreak that did him in. So now Michael and Joe live on, and Evie, Brooke, and the kids, John, and all of us, and hopefully they're together somewhere. I remember Michael as being a gentle soul who tread lightly and peacefully on his journey through life. Like his dad and like his mom, from my perspective, he wasn't one to push back. Instead, he marched on and did whatever he needed to do to fulfill his responsibilities. A side that I never saw, but I'm glad that it happened, was that I hear he had some really good times with his friends. With all of the challenges he accepted and embraced, he loved to be a dad, and he was giddy about being a grandpa. I loved that he embraced the Chinese culture and taught Brooke and Lily how to properly address the Chinese elders. His eyes lit up when he and I sat at the dinner table for home cooking with my mom and dad, his grandparents. I loved that he loved the food, and it was always a joy to cook Chinese food for him because he enjoyed it so much. He was a fabulous carpenter and a woodworker, and when he had time for it, and a woodworker when he had time for it. His childhood friendships were strong and a real testament to his character. I'll remember him as a shy kid when he was younger, and the quiet guy when he was older, only speaking out when he really had something to say, and a man of few words with a good sense of humor. Often, he'd blurt something out that totally caught me by surprise. That was, a totally humorous perspective on things. Like his dad, a big sensitive heart, I loved to see him smile and laugh, and what a beautiful smile he had. I didn't get as much time with Joe or Michael as I would have liked. I'll miss them both. But let's carry on what they would wish. Celebrate their lives with their voices in our hearts, live their dreams and ours. They would want us to celebrate today. Thanks for joining us.